Let's talk about that deep, kind of uncomfortable feeling of doubt. You know the one. But what if it's not a sign you're failing? What if it's actually something incredibly powerful, a signal that you're right on the edge of a huge breakthrough?
So let's just put the central question right out there. That little pang in your gut, that moment when something you've always been taught just doesn't sit right anymore. What if that's not a weakness, but actually the first sign that you're starting to wake up inside the dream of reality itself?
And here's the thing, if you're feeling this, it is not just you. This isn't some isolated crisis of faith. We're about to look at the actual data that shows this is a massive, documented, global shift in how we even approach the idea of belief.
So if you're questioning things, deconstructing your beliefs, or just reevaluating, you need to know this. You are in the company of millions. It's like the very foundations are shaking for everyone. And that's actually an invitation for all of us to build something way more resilient.
I mean, the scale of the shift is just staggering. Get this. For the first time in history, the data shows that more than half the US population is not affiliated with any organized faith. Now, this isn't just a trend, it's a historic turning point. It means that the majority of people are actively rethinking what they believe and searching for new ground to stand on. But here's the really beautiful part, the contradiction. At the exact same time people are leaving institutions, the desire for genuine spiritual growth is actually going up. The data is telling us a really clear story. We're not giving up on meaning. We're just abandoning the old containers that can't seem to hold it anymore. It's like a modern renaissance of personal discovery. Okay, so let's give this feeling a name. Let's call it a lucid glitch, you know? It's that little moment your internal programming flashes an error message. It's a signal, straight from your own consciousness, that the solid, fixed world you were told about, well, it's a lot more fluid than it seems. And that shared focus is starting to glitch out. So if this glitch is a totally natural part of waking up, why are we so conditioned to be terrified of it? To get that, we've got to look at the old historical structures, these, let's call them fear scaffolds, that were built for the specific purpose of shutting down this kind of questioning. And here's what kicked the whole thing into overdrive. Just a century ago, information was basically a monopoly. Global literacy was only around 20–30%, so a few institutions controlled the whole story. But today, well, we've got near-universal literacy plus an internet that basically acts as a 24/7 fact-checker, relentlessly shining a light on inconsistencies you could never have seen before. Now, to keep control back in that old era, 3 main fear scaffolds were put in place. First, you have the threat of punishment, making it feel way safer to just comply than to be curious. Second, there was the weapon of shame, making your natural curiosity feel like some kind of moral failing. And third, the big one, the fear of isolation. The threat of being cast out of your community if you dare to ask the wrong questions. And this leads us to a complete 180-degree flip in how we see this. The old way taught us that doubt was a dangerous threat that needed to be crushed. But the modern seeker, we're realizing it's actually a necessary portal. It's an invitation to find a truth that's so strong, so real, that it actually welcomes every single question you can throw at it. Of course, this new perspective needs a new map. We need one that can actually make sense of our deep inner experiences, while also lining up with what modern science is telling us about how the universe actually works. So much of the tension we feel today comes from this exact clash. We're trying to navigate our lives with these ancient maps. And look, the ancient wisdom is profound, but its authors just couldn't have known about things like quantum physics, a field that totally turns the whole idea of a fixed clockwork universe on its head. Okay, let's break this down for a second, because it's a huge game changer. Imagine a particle isn't like a tiny marble sitting in one place. Quantum physics shows us it's more like a wave of pure possibility, existing in all possible places at once. But, and here's the crazy part, the moment you observe it, the moment your consciousness interacts with it, that whole wave of possibilities collapses into one single point. The implication is just staggering. The universe isn't a fixed machine. It's an interactive field of potential just waiting for a conscious observer. So how does this apply to you and me? Well, you can think of your awareness as something called an assemblage point. It's like the focused lens of a projector. Out of all the infinite possibilities shimmering in that quantum field, that lens, your focus, is what collapses them into the single, solid reality you're experiencing right now. So the takeaway is this: your attention is not passive. It's not just watching a movie. It's an active, creative force. You are literally steering your consciousness, moment by moment, picking and choosing and assembling your reality out of an infinite field of what could be. Okay, so understanding this new map is one thing, but actually using it, that's a whole different ballgame. So let's shift from the what to the how. How do you stop being just a passive audience member in a fixed reality and start becoming an intentional navigator of your own consciousness? There are two core practices you can literally start today. First, notice the glitches and do it fearlessly. When that doubt pops up, don't push it away. See it as a cue, a signpost. Maybe get a journal and just write down the biggest, scariest what-if questions you have, with zero judgment. Second, connect the dots. Start noticing synchronicities. Those meaningful coincidences. Stop treating them as random. See them as quantum feedback, like little breadcrumbs from the universe, showing you that your internal focus is having an effect on the external world. This is the core mindset you want to adopt. If something is actually true, asking hard questions will only make it stronger. The only things that shatter under pressure are illusions and those old fear scaffolds built to protect them. So your inquiry isn't an attack, it's a courageous act of integrity. By embracing these practices, you actually start to change your fundamental identity. You shift from being a character who's trapped in a pre-written story to becoming the lucid dreamer, the one who's aware of the dreamlike nature of reality and feels empowered to help shape it. So let's bring it all home. That lucid glitch, that moment of doubt, it is not a bug in your system. It is the most important feature. It's the universe inviting you to run a system update, to get rid of the outdated code and to install a much more resilient, more authentic, and more coherent operating system for your life. The old control systems, they all relied on darkness and fear. So if that's true, if deceit really shrinks in the light, then your fearless inquiry isn't just about personal freedom, it's your primary task. You've got the tools, you've got the light. The only question left is, where are you going to shine it first?